speaking of that, okay, now it brings me to a good question.
Okay.
I saw this online. This is a good one for everybody that's listening. All my hip hop heads. All right, for all the rappers that their careers got cut short due to death, if they were still alive, who would have had the greatest career?
Pop Smoke.
All time?
Pop Smoke.
Out of everybody?
Out of Tupac, Biggie.
I think
Pop
Biggie's
Smoke.
went crazy. I think Biggie went crazy.
Pac would have been a star. In today's world, he'd have been a fucking star.
Pac would have. I think.
Pac had the charisma, bro.
Pac had the whole
He had everything.
90s on
He was an
lockdown,
actor,
bro.
hip hop, everything.
He was an activist. He was so popular. He was so popular before social media.
But I think that he would have been the most popular.
Bro,
today.
you saying Pop Smoke would have been more popular than Tupac? Bro, I don't know.
No, think about it, right? No,
bro.
Wait.
Tupac had an impact on the culture.
I understand, but if we're gonna have this conversation, we can't give God complexes to Tupac and Biggie.
We're not giving God complexes.
And this is because when we had the conversation about Tupac and Biggie, it's almost like the way that we talk. It's a God complex. See, this is what I mean.
No. This is not, bro. It's not having a God. It's not a God complex. It's like you taking the reality of what it was.
No, this is what. No, I understand, but also understand. All right, I'll say this. I think that if we look back at who Tupac is today, he would have the Jordan aura with him, where niggas, he wouldn't be able to. People wouldn't be able to touch him.
I don't know, bro. Pac was for the people.
But what I'm trying.
Pac was, but
he was for the people, bro.
Think how big Pac was without like any of this social media stuff, none of that stuff, anything that's, bro. His name like reigned through whatever, just off of what he was doing. Like the aura Shann is talking about is like. I think that's why his career might have elevated more than anybody else's.
Yeah, but I'm also
saying maybe Biggie would have been more of the Jordan era because Biggie was trying to be a record exec.
True.
And run a label.
But what I mean by the aura, I mean that you can't talk about Tupac at all. You can't talk about him the way that you want to talk about him unless there has to be someone that's him but better. It's like we put Jordan in such a.
What do you mean by him but better? Explain that a little bit.
Think about the Jordan LeBron era or the Jordan LeBron conversation. Niggas couldn't touch Jordan until LeBron came. That's the only time people were really, really like, all right, we can make the argument, right? And what I'm trying to say is that in that same way that we like Jordan's damn near perfect, untouchable, in this era, that would have been the way that we talked about Tupac. I think that's the best way to say it.
We would have talked about him, but there would have been more access. You said there would have been no access to Jordan. There would have been plenty of access to Pop. I mean, he was talking about like actual issues in the community, like women having kids young and like people being in poverty and people not being able to eat. Pop was a different kind of bull, and I'm saying if he had social media, imagine if he was like Wallow on social media.
He was like Wallow.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying,
he'd be the most popular dude,
like with the motivational stuff.
But what I'm trying to say is
you think he would be on that type of time?
No, but I'm saying like imagine if he had a platform though to talk about things that he talked about. He was much bigger than just music. I don't know if Pop Smoke was that.
I think that with Pac, real quick, the only thing I'm trying to say is that, like, I'm not trying to say that he wasn't going to be big, but I'm saying two things. One, there was a cap on how popular rap could be. There was a cap.
That's true. That's very true.
There was a cap on how popular it could be at that time frame, right? So for me, to us, Pac would have been a legend, right? It's almost like, I think a better example, right, would be AI, where we understand how important AI was to the culture, but there was a cap on how popular AI was really going to be.
That's a good reference.
You know what I'm saying? Because when we talk about AI, it's like, yo, do you know what AI did for the NBA? It's like
for the culture.
Yeah, but take him being for the culture out of it. Who he is and how that affected the NBA to today.
I get what you're saying too,
and I think that with Pac in that same way, the way that we talk about Pac, it's like we understand how good he is. Other people are like, yeah, nah, he was great, but it's like, no, you don't get it. It's Pac. Like
his music matched what he did as far as everything else.
So you're saying like because he was like one of those pioneers in the early, since he was so early, like the cap wouldn't allow him to be. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like the same way they put a cap on AI and made him start wearing suits. Like he was the one that had to take the hit on the hand or whatever, so everybody else can do whatever they want to be as big as they are. I get what you're saying.
You think Tupac peaked? You're saying?
No. What he's saying is like, all right. So
would he been bigger than AI at his peak? Tupac and AI
at their peak?
Yes.
Tupac would have been bigger than AI. But what I'm trying to say is there's a put it like
Tupac
this.
A lot bigger.
There's a ceiling.
Sure.
There's a ceiling that you have. There was ceilings for rap music. Like, let's be honest. Rap music in the 90s was definitely not looked at the way that it's looked at today.
True.
You get what I'm saying? In the 90s, if we had COVID, we don't even think niggas was getting labels in the music industry because of that. And so what I'm saying is that in the 90s, Tupac, as big as he was for African Americans, the ceiling that they had for us at that time was the only ceiling he was going to hit.
And people outside of our culture looked at him differently too.
Yeah, but we're talking about in terms of who would have been bigger overall. If he wouldn't have died and he would have been able to have his run, but it might have been crazy.
But what I'm saying is that because of the ceiling in the 90s, and we know how good he is, if we now come from 2022 and look at him then, he would be the same way, and this was my argument earlier, the way that we look at how great Jordan was in the 90s, looking back in the 2000s, that's how we would have looked at Tupac, where we can't talk bad about Pac ever.
Yeah, he can
never do no wrong.
But Jordan had a peak in the 90s, though, to where he stopped playing and he wasn't great. Pac was just getting to the point where he was about to reach his greatness.
But I think
he wasn't even there yet. That's the whole basis of the question. But that's the basis of the question.
No, but what
you're
I'm
asking
saying,
who would have been bigger.
But what I'm saying in that argument, what I'm using him for an example for is not specifically, oh my gosh, he's Jordan. I'm saying think about how someone in the 90s talks about Jordan.
Yes, but Jordan had his peak, and so did AI.
But what I'm saying is I'm saying with Tupac, that aura that we use think about how Stephen A. talks about Jordan. Mm-hmm. The way that he talks about Jordan, right?
The same way people on hip hop talk about.
It's the same way people talk about in Tupac. And what I'm saying is, I was conceding to the argument saying
I agree with you.
But wait, listen to what I'm saying. I'm conceding to the point that the way that we look back at Jordan, right, back in the day, the way that we would look at Tupac back in the music industry, we would think that Pac was bigger.
I don't know, but the reason I'm arguing that is because I'm saying if Pac would have been able to go through the early 2000s and the late 2000s and still, we don't know what it could have been like. You know what I'm saying? The question was, who would have been the biggest artist if they hadn't died? You're talking about Jordan who's still living.
No, but that's not what
I don't know. I don't know if Pop Smoke's peak would have been Tupac's peak.
I think Pop Smoke's too early to tell. I don't know. We don't know what kind of run he wouldn't have had. He was there for what, a year, 2?
Yeah, but okay.
I'm saying
no. I get what you mean.
But when it was too early for him to even see where like we knew his trajectory. Like, you know what I'm saying, people that paid attention to his trajectory, but I feel like we were just seeing a glimpse of what he could potentially
been. And look at the impact he still has on today.
And what I don't
know if at his peak, which would have been.
I'm speaking about Pop though. In terms of like, I feel like it's too early for Pop Smoke. I feel like we barely even saw like what he like
to be on the Pac level. Yes, I think.
Because Pac, I feel like we seen Pac do what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, and then he got cut. We didn't get to see what the act, like, you know what I'm saying, what the ending would have been of that. I think like Pop Smoke, we just saw like the very beginning. It's like, all right, we saw this kid, he has potential, bro. He has this charisma, and then he got killed.
Right.
You feel me? I feel like Pop Smoke could have been very big. I don't know how big. Like, I
think that he would have been a lot bigger than what we make it out to be.
No, I think he would have been big for sure.
I think that the way that we looked at the greats today that are dead, he's definitely would have been top 5, top 3.
What about like a Juice WRLD? Do you think Juice WRLD would have been? You said that was. I think Juice WRLD's impact was crazy, bro.
It's crazy, but also understand that the issue. This is my opinion, my speculation. It's my speculation. That the issue with Juice WRLD is that Juice WRLD very much was an era, and because of who he is and his image, I think that for him, when his audience grows up, I don't think that he would be as relevant anymore, especially because of the way society is now. He very much speaks from a place of I am the depressed kid.
I think he speaks from the same place as like a Kid Cudi or something like that. Like they see from a similar place, bro. Of like the stuff they're talking, the content of their music. I kind of agree with what Moose is saying.
I don't know if his impact was big, but I don't know if it was that big.
Okay. Like music, like because he was literally solely just music. You know what I mean?
For
like
sure.
He like don't get
That's
me wrong.
Music careers.
No, but I mean I guess when we look at music, we're looking at everything as a conglomerate. But I get what you mean. But yeah, Juice WRLD was great, but literally it was just music, and I think that it just would have stayed at just music because he very much he's one of those artists that don't grow up with his fan base.